nowadays we live in such a disciplinary world, and that's where I think the lab comes in as a very important space, as a space that allows to experiment, and a space where new ideas can be generated. Because I don't think in isolation it can happen, so we need spaces, we need this kind of laboratory idea of people coming together and experimenting. Just want to give you first a brief overview of the setting actually we have where these works actually came out of. And the setting, it's situated in Switzerland. We have a program that is called Swiss Artists in Labs. And this program has a setting where artists can go into science labs for 9 months, which is quite a long period of time. As a start, it was actually for artists to have a new experience, to be immersed to a new environment, to learn about new technologies. That was the kind of basis, and it situated the facilitators, us, at the Zurich University of the Arts, which is also about education. It's an educational setting. But as we can see, it's really evolving into like an equal dialogue.
I think that experimentation is a really important part of artistic practice, particularly at the current time when technologies are changing so much, and artists and designers want to stay up to speed and in touch with current trends, and to have the chance to actually collaborate in an experimental way and to test out ideas and get feedback. I think that's a really useful thing to offer. And as we saw yesterday, I think that worked extremely well in terms of people feeling free to come in and to meet new people, but also to feel that they were in a safe space to try out ideas and get feedback from other people. Today is very much an experiment. We're going to see if we can develop some collaborations here today through processes of dialogue. And what I'm really interested in, and we're going to explore this today, is the idea of the spaces between, not necessarily beyond, but what happens on those boundaries between different fields like art, science, ecology, science, law and policy. There's a lot happening in those boundaries at the moment. We're living in a period where things are really shifting. Vertical structures are being turned into lateral and horizontal networks. And we're in a period of transition, and that's why people want to come together and work out how they can connect. Generally, that research and development needs these kinds of opportunities to spend space and time together. I kind of specialise in setting up events or opportunities for discourse and for dialogue for people from different disciplines, and to bring them together, maybe for a short period of time, and to set certain rules and certain constraints like we did in the workshop, and then to let it go and to facilitate that process, and then to sort of round it up and reflect on it at the end in a kind of critical discourse kind of way.
We've been working together for about 15 years, and we make moving image works, and we're very interested in the material nature of the world around us and how we experience it. So we've often dabbled in the early days of making our work with science. So we've used different scientific data and different scientific processes and techniques in our work, but we became more interested in immersing ourselves in science labs and working directly with scientists. And this gave us a real opportunity to see firsthand how scientists were working. And really in our work we're interested in the experience that we have of the physical world around us, but as it is mediated through science. So we like to see the world through the tools and the processes of science, as it were.
We've worked in several scientific communities, but we've worked in a slightly different way to normal, where we have gone in blind and without a specific person to work with and a tight finished project in mind. We go with a kind of fly on the wall approach, where we're hoping to find inspiration and find ways of working with scientists as we go along. And this allows us to find more unusual relationships. And we get to work with scientists that are normally more scared of artists or unfamiliar with art. A lot of the time they're scientists that wouldn't normally ever go near art. Normally if you find artists and scientists working together, it's usually on a level basis where they've both come to one another and found one another. We go in and we find places and people who wouldn't normally work with artists, and it has a very different outcome. We work a lot of the time with their data, and we observe the scientist in a kind of sociological way.
Yeah, we've worked in very different environments. We're very interested in physical scientists, so the matter of the world around us. The first fellowship we did in a lab was with space scientists. So they were scientists who were making actual measurements out in space. They would put instruments on satellites and take data from space and then return that and process that. And we worked with a lot of their data, producing many different types of works. We produced a piece of work which was looking at the surface of the sun and worked directly with the scientific data. And we also produced a piece of work which was very different, still a moving image work, that was looking at the material nature of magnetic fields and how scientists try and understand these both visually and describe them orally.
The Arts Catalyst has set up residencies for artists in various labs over the years. Biotechnology laboratories or astrophysics laboratories, and it's always very different what the artist gets out of it. Sometimes they just go in and they shoot video and they make a piece and they don't have very much interaction, and others, like with the Artists in Labs project, they're there for a very long period of time and they get to know the science very well, and often they give back to the culture of the science lab just as much as they take away from it. What I've become really interested in over the years is to see what happens if we can get a more equal relationship. So what we're experimenting with at the moment is to try and set up some multidisciplinary laboratories, some laboratories where artists and scientists can work alongside each other together. So it becomes less a visitor to a laboratory or a scientist coming into an artist space, but a really open, creative process to see what might come out of people from different disciplines working together. So that's going to be a big area of experimentation over the next year or two, I think, for us.